Hello and welcome to Q&A Tuesday on Tuesday the 7th of July. And today I've got a question from someone who's really struggling with cravings. And Amy says that she understands all the reasons behind avoiding sugar, oil and flour, but she experiences uncontrollable urges to eat processed, sweet and fatty foods. And she can see that this has been the underlying reason for her issues with her weight all her life, but is just really struggling to get them out of her diet and out of her life. So let's look at this from the perspective of the 4 pillars of health that we're working within: nutrition, exercise, mindset and lifestyle. So when we look at nutrition first, I'd be wanting to ask, are you eating enough at meal times? And bear in mind that you can't be restricting foods and expecting not to have cravings. So you need to be eating sufficient quantity so that you feel nice and full of all of the good foods that you should be eating. And when you feel really satiated and really full, then you're far less likely to have cravings, and the ones that you do have are far easier to actually deal with. And in terms of what foods are helpful that you should be eating, vegetables. Eat more vegetables, especially green leafy vegetables. Try and eat greens at every meal. And I think I've said this in one of the webinars for the Eat More to Weigh Less program, but the more vegetables you eat, the more weight you will lose. So no dieting or trying to restrict portions, and also look at the type of foods that you're eating and ask yourself, are any of them pleasure trap foods? So have a look at some of the modules and lessons that I've got on cravings and identify the type of foods that tend to cause us to just want more, that tend to cause addictions and make people want to binge, and really avoid those like a plague. And next I'd like us to look at lifestyle factors. And so when we look at our lifestyle, we need to focus on the food environment. So where in your life do you have access to the kind of foods that you're experiencing cravings for? And how can you restrict access to those foods? Are they in your pantry? Are they in your fridge or freezer? Are they in your cupboards? And as much as possible, get rid of them. Get them out of your life, out of your home especially, so that they're not in your face all the time, so that you're not tempted by them. And looking at all of the different food cues you have in your life. So the first one obviously is what we've just talked about, is seeing the food, it actually being there in your face every day. But also it could be seeing pictures of food, advertisements for food, watching cooking shows. So just try to avoid all of those kind of visual cues. And there might be other cues in your life which are more behavioral. So looking at activities that are associated with food for you. So if watching television is one of your food cues, if you have a real pattern, a real habit of eating certain types of food while you're watching television, you might really need to restrict your TV viewing. But it could be any type of activity, it doesn't have to be TV. But just identify those for yourself and think of other activities that you could do in place of that for a while. Also to do with lifestyle is planning. So planning ahead and always having plenty of whole plant foods available that are pre-prepared and maybe pre-cooked, so that when you are feeling the urge to eat, there are at least some really healthy options that are easy for you, that aren't going to take you lots of time to prepare. Maybe having some pre-cooked rice that sits in your fridge, or pre-cooked potatoes, beans, things that just make it really easy for you to grab and eat those. Cut up celery sticks, cut up carrot sticks, whatever it is that you need to fill up on, have them available and pre-prepared. Next, looking at exercise. And exercise is such a powerful tool to change your state of mind. So when you feel cravings, you can do something like doing some exercise. So as soon as you feel cravings, get down and do some push-ups or do some squats, run up and down the stairs if you have them, or around the house, or go for a walk instead of eating. And often physical activity, especially intense physical activity, will completely change that state of mind, and you'll find yourself, when you come out of the exercise, the cravings have just gone away. And last of all, and I suppose this is the biggest area when it comes to cravings, is looking at mindset factors. And with mindset, one of the tools that I taught in Module 2 is EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique. So go back to that module and review it, and look at how you can use EFT to deal with any cravings you're experiencing. Get really specific about the type of food and how it makes you feel, and how intense the cravings are, and all of the other associated feelings and emotions that come up for you around those cravings, and tap on them. Realize that although you have no control over your cravings in the moment, you do have full control over how you react to those feelings, to those cravings. So accept the craving and let the urge kind of flow through you. Remind yourself that the craving is just a feeling. It's not dangerous. There are some phrases that you might like to try saying to yourself over and over again when you have a craving. You could say things like, "It's okay to be uncomfortable right now," or "I can handle these feelings." And really just bear in mind that these feelings can't hurt you. Try not to think of the craving as being meaningful or compelling. So don't give it any more weight than it deserves. When you experience strong feelings, there's a tendency to respond as if you're powerless against the feelings. And this feeling comes from the animal part of your brain. But there is another part of your brain, which is the prefrontal cortex, and that's the human brain that has control over all of your decisions. And so while the animal brain has the urges and the temptations to satisfy cravings, it actually has no control over our voluntary movements. Only the human brain does. And so we really need to try to disassociate from our animal brain. Instead of trying to fight the urges or temptations, just simply observe them and disassociate yourself from them. Don't act on them, just observe them. And as a result, often these temptations and urges tend to just disappear. It really is an illusion that our animal brain has control over us. It's false. We have control. We always have control. And when you view the animal brain as not being you, you begin to have power and control over your actions. And this strategy is very effective, but it only works if you stop trying to diet or restrict. You must be consuming enough food and not deprive yourself. You must feel satisfied and satiated. Otherwise, no matter what, it's going to be nearly impossible for you to overcome cravings. So, another strategy that you can use is to delay. And when you tell yourself that you're never ever going to give in to temptation ever again, the emotional burden can feel kind of overwhelming. So instead, in that moment where you're really feeling tempted and you've got lots of cravings, just tell yourself that you're going to delay for just 10 minutes. You're going to delay acting on that craving for 10 minutes. And in that time, try to interrupt the pattern or the habit of responding to cravings. And a really powerful way of doing that is to visualize the specific food that you're craving and imagine, for instance, your dog throwing up on it or peeing on it. Intentionally create a negative association with that particular food and try to make the thought of eating it as disgusting as possible. And then replace the habit of eating these foods with an empowering alternative to change your state. So you might read something that's really that you find empowering. You might review some of the webinars that are on your program. You could go for a walk. You could do any kind of exercise. You could write in your journal. You can have a big drink of water. Any action that's going to really replace the habit that you've gotten into of acting on your cravings. And remember that you may not be successful at resisting temptations and cravings at first, but you can overcome cravings with persistence. So good on you for asking, and make sure that you keep asking. Plus, send me your reality check so that to help you hold yourself accountable and for me to hold you accountable. Record what you eat. Remember that what's measured improves, and what's measured and reported improves exponentially. So use that tool to help and hold yourself accountable for your behavior in terms of your food. So thank you, Amy, for your question, and I hope my answer has helped. Just let me know if it has helped, and not just Amy. I'd love to hear how it's helped others as well. And until next fortnight, please take care and keep up all your good work, and goodbye for now.